In the name of the Holy, Undivided Trinity, one God, Amen. It is a new day in this Old Testament reading. It couldn't be any clearer that we have moved on from the creation story and the patriarchs, because it opens with the line, "A new king arose in Egypt who did not know Joseph." It will be something different now. And sure enough, right there before our very eyes, we have the making of an enslaved people. They have a history of that, you know. Joseph, whom this king no longer remembered, was himself sold into slavery by his own brothers. And then he began this sort of dependent, enslaved relationship with his people when they became very hungry. The story gives us all the ingredients that we're so familiar with: fear, power, control, oppression, ownership, force, bitterness, service, and hard labor. We know those ingredients. We taste those ingredients every day. They run in our own veins, both on the enslaving side and the enslaved side. We know this dynamic, this cyclical process of power and oppression. It's the life of the people of God. It's our story. It's the life of humanity, and we need a way out at the structural level, the structure of our souls, the structure of our society, the way we have put together the cosmos once it was given into our hands. We need a way out. We participate in this on a daily basis within ourselves, with our family members and those we actually love, and within our communities, people we know and people we don't know. It is so pervasively our experience that we tell the story of it over the water of baptism. We tell the story of the water and we say, "Through it you led the children of Israel out of their bondage in Egypt and into the land of promise." And with that one line, we conjure this whole story and immerse you in that water so that you know this is your story. It's not the people of Israel only back in the book of Exodus. It's your story because you are a human being, and that is where we live. This is where human being takes place. Every new life will live this struggle, the struggle of fear and hatred, power, control, oppression. Every new life, every one of us needs to know that there is a way out of bondage. And so we say it to babes in arms and conjure the Red Sea there in the bowl at baptism. And in that water, we don't tell the whole story. We just say it with one sentence. But you know, that story is really graphic and grisly. It says in the text that horse and chariots and rider are thrown into the sea and they die. If you want to let children have their way with art, you will see that part of the story in living color. The horse and the chariot and the rider, so grisly, but there they are, dead in the sea. And it's kind of offensive when we read those details of our story until you think maybe that that's a really important part, that oppression dies in the water. It dies in the water of baptism. And the people of God are led out of bondage, and everybody needs a Moses. This is Moses' birth story. He is named here. Pharaoh's daughter named him, not his mother. But she named him Moses because she said, I drew him out of the water. Do you know what that means? That means that you are a Moses. I am a Moses. Bill is a Moses. Jess, Chris. You have been drawn out of the water of baptism. This is your story, and you are named for it because we drew you out of the water. You are a Moses, and everybody needs a Moses. We cannot always get ourselves out of bondage. Our life story is to lead out of bondage at our soul's level, at the societal level, the structures that we have put together. It is our call to lead out of bondage. Day in and day out, that struggle, almost at a cellular level, with fear and hatred and how we try to control, annihilate, or be annihilated. It will swirl about us with a powerful current, and we need to find ways to live into our name. Minuscule moments. Porch setting tables for an outside, socially distanced family dinner party. Anybody who knows me for 5 minutes knows I live in town, I have a big front porch, and I love to be outside. And the Fox Barbecue restaurant is 5 doors down. As always, cars coming and going right in the front of our house, using our driveway, blocking our driveway. And our space between the porch and the street is about the distance from me to Bill. Really small little lots. So while I was preparing, a car pulled up and 4 or 5 young adults got out of the car, and I could tell right away that one of them was very hungover, or perhaps actually drunk. You know the body language. It's easy to tell that from 10 feet away. So he proceeded to vomit on the street. As his friends walked off and ignored him because everyone, I'm sure, was embarrassed or put off, maybe. And they left him there to suffer my disgust while I was getting ready for my dinner party. It was literally a minuscule moment, not a Moses epic drama. To grow my own hatred, or to let the oppression die in the water. So trying to let the oppression die in the water, I called out to him, "Do you need help?" No. I walked down the step. "Do you need anything?" No, as he proceeded to continue as he had. So I just reeled off a big pile of paper towels, got close enough to hand them off to where I could hear his voice and he could speak, and so could I. And that is a minuscule, almost a ridiculous moment to say that that has anything to do with being led out of bondage, and I'm talking about my own, not his, because it freed me. It freed me to live the day in love rather than hatred, to reduce my power to a place of equanimity, and to have both of us live in a bit of soul health. So I didn't have to carry that heavy weight the rest of the day. But that's minuscule. It's really a really tiny, silly thing. But the real story, the big story of that day, yesterday, in the dinner party, was that my nephew Tom was to be one of my dinner guests on the front porch. Again, if you've spent any time with me, you will hear me tell stories about Tom. He hasn't been out of the state of Pennsylvania for 6 years, until this weekend, right now, like they left this morning. But his stories with the law, his own soul's bondage, and his living at the Remnant House. The piece of the story I share today is that 6 years ago, Tom needed a Moses. After things escalated to a serious tipping point, he stood before a judge, his parents there in the courtroom. A deputy began to take Tom and had one hand already cuffed behind his back when Moses spoke up. Moses, who is now our friend that we call Apostle, it's his taken name. His Moses stood up and said to the judge, "I can take him." The judge said, "Do you have room?" He said, "Yes." And the judge said to the deputy, "Well, I guess I won't be needing you today." And he uncuffed Tom. I can take him. Those are Moses' words. I can take you through deep water and out of bondage. And some days I will need you to take me through deep water and out of bondage and let the oppression drown in that water. Everybody needs a Moses. Be Moses. Answer to your name. Be a Moses to yourself. Seek freedom. Be a Moses to your family. Put down your own tools of oppression that make another person's life bitter and hard. Be a Moses to your community, outside your front door, around the corner, at the courthouse. Lead out of this water and let oppression die. Be a Moses. And when you need a Moses, ask for one. Help me get out of this bondage. Take me through. Put your foot in the water so it will separate for the both of us. Moses is everywhere, and everybody needs a Moses. Amen.